So you're ready to make the jump from your smartphone to a DSLR or mirrorless camera. Or maybe you're just thinking about it, but it all seems overwhelming. Which camera? DSLR? Mirrorless? Full frame? Crop sensor? Fuji, Nikon, Canon, Sony? And then there are the controls. Will you even know what you're doing? How will you learn to shoot manual or process, color correct, and color grade your photos? Where do you even start? Well, I've got some ideas to get you on your way quickly and easily. Tips that will help you decide which camera to buy and how to get comfortable using it fast. I've broken it down to 5 main hacks and tips, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we start, welcome back and thank you. And if you're new here, my name is James. I'm a photographer based in Las Vegas, and this channel is all about making photography simple. So hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. So today I've got 5 hacks and tips for you. They're easy to follow and will help you make the jump from smartphone to professional camera. By the end of this video, you'll have a roadmap to get you shooting like a pro, and stick around for an extra tip, one that I wish someone had given me when I first started. First, to arm you with some information, let's talk about the different types of professional level cameras. Basically, you have DSLR and mirrorless. Of course, there are analog and medium format among other types, but we aren't talking about those today. We're going to stay focused on what is called the prosumer cameras, DSLRs and mirrorless. DSLRs are larger and have long been the standard for professionals, but the mirrorless cameras have caught up with lens options and performance and capabilities. Now virtually every camera maker is spending all of their R&D money on the mirrorless systems. They're the future of the industry. I can't even remember the last time Sony released a non-mirrorless camera that was cutting edge or exciting. Next, there are 3 main types of sensors in these cameras. You have full frame, which is also known as 35mm because the sensor is the same size as the actual film area inside a classic 35mm slide. Then you have APS-C or crop sensor, which is about 2/3 the size of a full frame sensor, and micro 4/3, which is about half the size of a full frame sensor. Okay, so why does this all matter? Well, we could go down a pretty deep tech rabbit hole about all this, but let me just give you some facts to help you decide. Full frame cameras are often the most expensive. Crop and smaller sensor cameras will not have the same narrow depth of field for a similar focal length of a lens, so if you're trying to get that creamy, blurry bokeh, it's more of a challenge on a crop sensor. Full frame cameras will often have better dynamic range and allow you to capture clean images on more difficult lighting situations. Crop and smaller sensors will generally be smaller and lighter, as the lenses are smaller and lighter. So with this information, and after you've set your budget, tip number 1 is to get a good feel. Real face. Go down to your local camera store and actually pick up, touch, and feel the different bodies. Don't be talked into buying anything just yet. First, are they too big, too small, too heavy, or just right in your hand? Try to narrow it down to 1 or 2 different camera makers. Second, the lens is your friend. Once you decide on which type of brand feels good to you, then the next step is to focus on the lenses, not the bodies. Yes, you heard me right. The reason is that the lens, or the glass as we call it, can last forever if it's high quality. The cameras, on the other hand, seem to be outdated in just a couple of years from release, and sometimes sooner. Personally, I would recommend choosing a mirrorless camera and 1 middle to top of the line zoom lens to start with. A 24 to 70mm is a great starting point for most people. Also, I made a whole video about zooms versus prime lenses, and I'll link it below and you can check that out if you like. It may help you decide what will be the best type of lens for you. Third, be a cheapo.
Let's go. $2, that's all you're gonna leave?
How? Rent first and then buy used. If your local store doesn't rent, then look for online solutions. There are a number of them here in the US and Europe. Personally, I buy and sell lenses all the time. I have no problem buying used myself, and I've saved a ton of cash over the years doing so, and I still do it. Number 4, hack the controls. Start in program mode, then learn aperture priority and shutter priority. Yes, you should and will learn manual, but don't overwhelm yourself just yet. You want to ease into the exposure triangle and understanding the different controls before you try and master them all at once. This will prevent early frustration and enable you to get great photos and study the outcomes and settings in the camera in order for you to understand what you need to do yourself in manual mode. Eventually, you'll be able to nail your exposure in a similar situation. Tip number 5, forget the processing for now. So this is more of a hack than a tip, but I would start shooting in JPEG at first. Don't worry about the processing yet. Worry about getting proper exposure. Then as you get more comfortable with nailing your exposure, the composition, and the sharpness, you can start playing with post-processing. If you start worrying about processing before you're nailing your shots, you'll waste a lot of time trying to fix bad exposures, bad composition, and soft images rather than proper retouching and color correcting properly exposed and framed images. Trust me, this is not the right path. A bad bad photo cannot be saved with magic Photoshop skills. It just winds up looking overprocessed. So get the shot right in camera first, study your JPEGs, and work your way into shooting RAW. Okay, one more extra pro tip for you, but first, tell me, are you still shooting with your phone and considering a pro camera? Have you purchased a new camera and are wondering what to do now, where to start? Let me know in the comments where you are in your photography journey. Okay, and one last pro tip, and here it is. The histogram is your secret weapon. The first setting you should get familiar with is how to toggle the histogram onto your LCD in your camera and read it. Why? This is an unfailing check to be sure that you're exposing your photos properly. The histogram will show you exactly when you're over or underexposed in every single photo you take. Use it religiously. Almost every pro photographer I know does. And to help you get comfortable with this, I made a whole video just about histograms and how to use them to expose properly. I'll link that below for you to check out. Okay, I hope this list of tips and hacks helps simplify the process of making the jump to a pro camera. And if you feel like it did, please hit that like button as that helps spread the word to YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that little notification bell to stay in the loop around here, and I'll see you in the next video.